But if you can bring down the costs of these things, because you have your own bucket truck and you have your own tools, and you have your own ability to do it, it takes away a lot of the politics because this Rav wasn't happy with the way it was, so I just built him a wall. It didn't cost very much. And that way, with having the capabilities to build all these things yourself and do them yourself, so if you have this machlokas here, does the lechi need to be here? So Rabbi Bechhofer was feeling that our Eruv was no good, so I changed all the lechem to make him happy. But it's easier to make shalom with your Eruv if you can, every Rav, you say, look, at least we'll make the best effort. If we can't do what you want, but at least we'll explain to you why we can't, and then you'll be okay with it. Even I took Rabbi Weinberg around, one of the things he didn't like was that the lechis weren't straight. And I said to him, this is the best that I can do, because sometimes this bracket can be held out this far from the pole easily. So I bring my lechi out and I bend it, and it comes like this. So the lechi is certainly not straight, but it's nary but impossible to get rid of that in your Eruv. So once he saw that it wasn't possible, so he said, okay, we'll have to rely on those people who are making. It's not, I'm not absolutely thrilled with it, but that's the way it is. And that's the way to create shalom, is to try to do it that way.
Back to the fences. So we're using all these different fences around Passaic, but then there's a fence, and then how does that connect to the telephone pole?
There's always, so from a mechitza to a tzuras HaPesach, so mi'ikra din a tzuras HaPesach has a din mechitza, and you could say omid merubal apart, and you could have a pirtz of up to 10 amos. There's a tuashar who holds that from, yes, a tzuras HaPesach has a din mechitza, but not completely. When it comes to attaching to a mechitza, a real fence, if you have more than 3 tvachim, if it's not lavud, he doesn't allow it. So when I first took over the Passaic Eruv, they were makel on this, the tuashar. Those who are makel on tuashar, the Mishnah Berurah says b'shas hadchak you could be makel. So he's not his, but those who don't follow the Mishnah Berurah, they allow it lechatchila because the tuashar's raya was from a tosus. That tosus has a kasha, and if you were allowed to have 10 amos from a tzuras HaPesach to a mechitza, he would have had a simple teretz, and he doesn't give that teretz; he gives another teretz. So that's a weak raya because you're saying, Tosas give a different teretz. He could have given that teretz, but it's always a weaker raya. The Tosas Harash actually gives the teretz. So it's a very, the Tuashar's chumrah is a weak position, and I think me'ikra din most people don't hold it. But the Mishnah Berurah, when he writes only to use it b'shas hadchak, so yeshivish people, the Mishnah Berurah, if he says only use it b'shas hadchak, they don't like using it lechatchila. So we changed it.
Those yeshivish people will use that at all.
Maybe not. Right. I mean, that's also the thing with Eruvin. Citywide Eruvin use so many different kulas, like the sagging wires, the lechis not being straight, the things that we can't control, we can't change. Sometimes I wonder, like with all the hidurim that we put into the Eruv, so now it only uses 12 kulas as opposed to 14 kulas. Like, was there really a demographic of people who those 2 kulas make a big difference for them? I don't know. But these are the types of things
those people are really against those people are against those 2 kulas. They're Rav.
Right. Those 2.
Guys.
That was the 2. But no, I do think people do take a comfort in knowing that we've tried to be as machmir as we can, do as best job we can. People do take comfort in it. But so we now, from each fence there'll be a tzuras HaPesach going to the pole. There'll be a pole attached to the fence. And to make the tzuras HaPesach, we won't have any break between a tzuras HaPesach and a fence.
Does the kula on top have to be level? Forget the sagging for a moment, but just the 2 endpoints. Can it be like this?
There's a Rabbi Kiva Eger who is machadish. He writes that it can't be meshupa b'yoser. It can't be very extreme. So Rav Aaron Cutler said that's 45 degrees. He said basically what Rabbi Kiva Eger meant was that it has to be horizontal. Once you start getting more than 45 degrees, you're more vertical than horizontal. There's another sheet that says it can't be more than the slope of a telemislaki. And I, for the life of me, don't even know where they got that from. Telemislaki, there's a din in mechitza, and how sloped something has to be that's into a wall, why does it do the top of a doorway? But that's another sheet out there. So we usually try to make sure that it's less than 25 degree slope to be the most machmir sheet. But more than that, we're not machmir, because when the telephone poles, it's always going to be sloped. They're not always, it's never going to be perfectly horizontal. I have had some customers that want all the lines to be perfectly level, but very few people ask for that.
So you have to go from self-leveling lasers to self-leveling Eruvin.
Well, there's a line level. There's a level that there's hooks on it. You put it on the line. I would say I guess that's it. I don't mind answering other questions.
Where are we?